What if the easiest food you could grow is already growing around you? While most gardeners spend time, money, and effort trying to grow delicate vegetables, there's a completely different category of plants quietly taking over on their own. These are the vegetables most people call weeds. They grow fast, survive harsh conditions, and keep coming back no matter what you do. And here's the surprising part. Not only are they edible, many of them are more nutritious than the crops people struggle to grow. Today, we're uncovering 10 forgotten vegetables that grow like weeds. And the first one? You've probably seen it and pulled it out without realizing what you just threw away. Number 1, Purslane, the weed that outperforms your garden. Purslane is one of the most misunderstood plants you will ever find in a garden. Most people see it, assume it's just another weed, and remove it without thinking twice. What they don't realize is that they're pulling out one of the most nutrient-dense edible plants available. In fact, Purslane contains high levels of omega-3 fatty acids, something that is extremely rare in leafy greens. That alone places it in a completely different category from most vegetables people intentionally grow. What makes Purslane especially powerful is how aggressively it grows. It thrives in poor soil, survives extreme heat, and continues spreading even when water is limited. While traditional vegetables struggle under harsh conditions, Purslane expands. It creeps across the ground, forming dense mats that cover large areas in a short period of time. This makes it one of the most efficient ground-covering edible plants you can have. Another major advantage is that it requires almost no maintenance. You don't need to fertilize it, water it constantly, or protect it from difficult weather. Once it appears, it continues growing on its own. This turns it into a self-sustaining food source that produces without demanding effort. Purslane is already consumed in many regions, especially in local and traditional dishes. Its slightly tangy, crisp texture makes it ideal for salads, stir-fries, and fresh preparations. This means it's not just edible. It's already part of established food cultures. Compared to delicate greens that require constant care, Purslane offers something completely different. It grows faster, survives tougher conditions, and produces continuously without intervention. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a weed. It's a plant that works for you, turning neglected space into a reliable, low-effort food source that keeps producing without stopping. Number 2, Amaranth Chaulai, the dual-purpose plant that grows without limits. Amaranth is one of those plants that completely breaks the idea of what a vegetable should be. Most crops give you one type of harvest, either leaves, roots, or seeds. Amaranth does more. It gives you multiple outputs from a single plant, and it does it while growing faster and more aggressively than most traditional vegetables. The first advantage shows up early. Within a short time after planting, Amaranth produces tender leaves that can be harvested and used like spinach. These greens are widely eaten across South Asia and are already part of everyday cooking, which means you're not introducing something new. You're growing something familiar and in demand. But while you're harvesting the leaves, the plant doesn't stop. It continues growing taller, eventually producing seeds that can be used as a grain. This dual-purpose nature changes everything. Instead of getting one harvest, you get two completely different products from the same plant leafy greens first and grain later. That kind of efficiency is rare. What makes Amaranth even more powerful is how easily it grows. It thrives in heat, tolerates poor soil, and requires minimal care. In fact, in many places, it grows on its own without being planted. This ability to adapt and survive means it continues producing even when conditions are not ideal. Its growth pattern is also important. Amaranth grows quickly and can reach significant height, producing a large amount of biomass in a short period. This makes it highly productive even in limited space. Compared to traditional vegetables, Amaranth offers speed, versatility, and resilience. It doesn't just grow, it multiplies its value by producing more than one type of harvest. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant, you grow it. A system that gives you more output, more flexibility, and more reliability, all while requiring less effort than most crops. Number 3, Dandelion, the wild plant with hidden value. Dandelion is one of the most recognizable plants in the world, and at the same time, one of the most underestimated. Most people see it as a nuisance, something to remove, something that ruins a perfect lawn. But what they don't realize is that this weed is actually a complete food system hiding in plain sight. Every part of the plant has value, and once you understand that, you stop trying to remove it and start using it. The leaves are the first layer of that value. Young dandelion greens are rich in nutrients and can be used in salads or cooked dishes. They have a slightly bitter taste, but that bitterness is exactly what makes them powerful nutritionally. They're packed with vitamins and minerals that many cultivated greens struggle to match. But it doesn't stop there. The roots add a completely different use. They can be dried and used to make herbal teas, sometimes even as a coffee substitute. This turns the plant into more than just a leafy green. It becomes something you can process and store, extending its usefulness beyond fresh consumption. The flowers add another layer. They can be used in syrups, infusions, and traditional recipes, making the plant even more versatile. Few plants offer this level of multi-use functionality. What makes dandelion truly stand out, though, is how it grows. It thrives in almost any condition. Poor soil, compacted ground, dry environments, it adapts and continues spreading. Once it appears, it is incredibly difficult to eliminate, which for a gardener looking for low-effort food becomes a huge advantage. Compared to traditional crops that require careful planting and maintenance, dandelion offers independence. It grows without permission, produces without effort, and returns every year. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a wild plant. It's a self-sustaining system that turns neglected ground into a continuous source of food and utility, all without asking for anything in return. Number 4. Stinging nettle, the nutrient giant. You have to respect. Stinging nettle is one of the most powerful plants on this list, but it comes with a warning. You can't treat it like a normal vegetable. Most people avoid it because of the sting, those tiny hairs that irritate the skin on contact. But once you understand how to handle it properly, you realize something important. That sting isn't a weakness, it's protection. And behind that protection is one of the most nutrient-dense plants you can grow. What makes nettle stand out immediately is its nutritional profile. It's packed with vitamins, minerals, and compounds that make it highly valuable in both food and herbal use. Once cooked or dried, the sting disappears completely, leaving behind a rich, spinach-like green that can be used in soups, teas, and traditional dishes. It's not just edible, it's highly functional. Its growth pattern is where things get interesting. Nettle spreads through underground rhizomes, meaning it doesn't stay contained in one spot. Over time, it forms dense patches that return year after year without needing to be replanted. Once it establishes itself, it becomes extremely difficult to remove, which, for a low-effort grower, is exactly what you want. It thrives in moist, nutrient-rich soil, but can adapt to various conditions. And once it finds a suitable environment, it expands quickly, turning empty space into a productive area without constant management. Another key advantage is its long-term reliability. Unlike plants that need to be replanted every season, nettle becomes a permanent part of your garden. It continues producing without needing attention, making it ideal for anyone looking to reduce effort while maintaining output. Compared to delicate greens, nettle offers strength. It resists damage, grows aggressively, and produces consistently. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you grow, it's a plant you manage. Once you understand it, it becomes a long-term, self-sustaining source of food that keeps coming back stronger every season. Number 5. Fennel. The two-in-one plant that keeps producing value. Fennel is one of those rare plants that gives you more than one reason to grow it. Most vegetables are limited. You grow them for a single purpose. Harvest them once, and that's it. Fennel breaks that pattern completely. It offers multiple usable parts, continuous growth, and long-term value, all from a single plant. The first thing you notice is its versatility. The feathery leaves can be used fresh as an herb, adding a mild aromatic flavor to dishes. At the same time, the plant develops seeds that are widely used as a spice. This means you're not limited to one harvest. You're working with a plant that produces in layers, leaves early, seeds later. That alone makes it far more efficient than most crops. But the real advantage comes from how it grows. Fennel establishes quickly and continues producing over time. It doesn't demand perfect conditions to perform. It thrives in full sun and adapts to average soil, making it accessible even in less than ideal environments. Once it takes root, it becomes reliable and consistent. Its growth habit also plays a role in its value. Fennel grows upright and can reach a noticeable height. adding structure to your garden while still producing usable material. This means it's not just filling space, it's shaping it. Another overlooked benefit is how it interacts with the rest of your garden. Fennel attracts beneficial insects, including pollinators, which helps support the overall ecosystem. It's not just producing for you, it's improving the environment around it. Compared to single-use crops, fennel offers more output from the same effort. It doesn't just grow, it multiplies its usefulness over time. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you harvest. It's a plant that keeps giving, providing multiple products, supporting your garden, and turning one planting into ongoing value without increasing your workload. Number 6. Chickweed. The fast-growing green that appears overnight. Chickweed is one of the fastest-growing edible plants you will ever come across, and what makes it so interesting is how easily it shows up. Most people don't plant chickweed, it simply appears. One day the soil is empty, and the next, it's covered in a soft green layer of delicate leaves. For most gardeners, that's a problem. But for someone who understands it, that's free, continuous food production. What makes chickweed powerful is its speed. It grows quickly, spreads rapidly, and covers ground in a way that few plants can match. Instead of waiting weeks for visible growth like you would with traditional vegetables, chickweed establishes itself almost immediately. This fast cycle means you can harvest sooner and more often. Its growth habit is low and dense, forming a carpet that fills empty spaces in your garden. This not only provides a steady supply of edible greens, but also helps suppress weeds by blocking sunlight from reaching the soil. In a way, chickweed competes so well that it solves one of the biggest problems in gardening: unwanted growth, by replacing it with something useful. The leaves are tender and mild in flavor, making them ideal for salads and fresh use. Unlike tougher greens, chickweed can be eaten raw without needing much preparation. It's simple, accessible, and immediately usable. Another advantage is how little effort it requires. Chickweed thrives in cool, moist conditions and doesn't need special care. Once it appears, it continues growing without intervention, turning into a self-sustaining source of greens. Compared to cultivated vegetables, chickweed removes complexity. You don't plant it, you don't manage it heavily, it just grows. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant, you grow it. A plant that grows for you, appearing when conditions are right and turning empty ground into a fast, reliable, low-effort food source. Number 7. Mallow. The traditional green that never leaves. Mallow is one of those plants that quietly exists in the background, often ignored, yet it has been used for generations in traditional cooking. In many regions, it grows naturally without being planted, which is exactly why people overlook it. But once you understand how reliable it is, you start to see it differently. This is not just a wild plant, it's a consistent, low-effort food source that keeps returning year after year. What makes mallow especially valuable is its ability to grow in a wide range of conditions. Poor soil, neglected spaces, and even areas that are rarely watered. Mallow adapts and continues producing. It doesn't demand perfect environments to thrive. Instead, it works with whatever conditions are available, which makes it ideal for gardeners who want results without constant effort. Its growth pattern is steady and dependable. Mallow spreads gradually, forming patches that expand over time. It doesn't grow aggressively in a chaotic way, but it fills space consistently, creating a stable presence in your garden. This allows it to replace empty areas with something useful, reducing the need for replanting. The leaves are where its value comes from. They are edible and commonly used in traditional dishes, especially in soups and cooked recipes. When prepared, they develop a soft texture that adds both nutrition and substance to meals. This makes mallow not just a backup plant, but a practical one. Another advantage is its low-maintenance nature. Once it establishes itself, it continues growing without requiring attention. There's no need for constant watering, fertilizing, or protection. It simply does its job. Compared to high-maintenance greens, mallow offers reliability. It grows where others fail, produces without effort, and remains available when you need it. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you grow. It's a plant that stays, quietly turning overlooked space into a dependable source of food that never really leaves your garden. Number 8. Plantain. The wild herb that grows anywhere. Plantain is one of the most resilient plants you will ever come across, and chances are you've already seen it growing in places where nothing else survives. Sidewalk cracks, Compacted soil, dry patches of land plantain doesn't just tolerate these conditions, it thrives in them. And that's exactly what makes it powerful. It grows where effort isn't required. What makes plantain especially valuable is its adaptability. Most vegetables depend on loose, fertile soil and careful watering. Plantain ignores all of that. It establishes itself in hard, compacted ground and continues growing without needing improvement or preparation. This means you can harvest it from areas that would otherwise be considered unusable for food production. Its growth habit is low and structured. It forms tight rosettes of broad leaves that stay close to the ground, making it easy to identify and harvest. Over time, it spreads gradually, creating clusters that return year after year. Once it appears, it becomes a permanent part of the landscape. The leaves are both edible and widely used in traditional medicine. They can be eaten fresh or cooked, and they're also known for their soothing properties when used externally. This dual-purpose nature adds another layer of value, making it more than just a simple green. Another advantage is how little attention it needs. Plantain does not require fertilizing, watering schedules, or protection from weather. It grows independently, turning neglected ground into a usable resource. Compared to cultivated herbs, plantain offers something different: total independence. It doesn't rely on you to grow. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you manage. It's a plant that exists without effort, quietly producing food and utility in places where nothing else would even be considered worth growing. Number 9. Borage. The flower that feeds your garden and beyond. Borage is one of those plants that does more than just grow, it improves everything around it. At first glance, it looks like a simple flowering plant with bright blue star-shaped blooms. But underneath that appearance is a plant that plays multiple roles at the same time, making it far more valuable than it seems. What makes borage especially powerful is how quickly it establishes itself. It grows fast, spreads easily, and begins producing both leaves and flowers without requiring perfect conditions. Once it appears, it tends to reseed itself, meaning it comes back year after year without needing to be replanted. This creates a continuous cycle where the plant maintains its own presence in your garden. The flowers are one of its most unique features. They are edible, visually striking, and often used in garnishes and specialty dishes. But beyond that, borage is known for its potential in oil production, which gives it an additional layer of long-term value. This turns it from a simple garden plant into something that can be used in more specialized ways. Another major advantage is its impact on pollinators. Borage attracts bees and other beneficial insects in large numbers. This doesn't just benefit the plant itself, it improves the productivity of your entire garden. When pollinators are active, everything grows better. Its growth habit is open and spreading, filling space without becoming overly aggressive. This makes it useful for covering areas while still allowing other plants to coexist around it. Compared to typical flowering plants, borage offers more than just appearance. It contributes to the ecosystem, provides edible components, and supports long-term growth through self-seeding. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you grow for yourself. It's a plant that works for your entire garden, improving conditions, supporting growth, and continuing its cycle without needing constant attention. Number 10. Shepherd's purse. The fast-growing herb that shows up everywhere. Shepherd's purse is one of those plants that most people overlook simply because it grows so easily. It appears without warning, spreads quickly, and thrives in conditions where other plants struggle to establish. For many gardeners, that makes it a weed. But for someone who understands its value, it becomes one of the simplest and most reliable edible plants available. What makes shepherd's purse especially powerful is its speed. It grows fast, completes its life cycle quickly, and produces seeds that allow it to spread even further. This rapid cycle means it doesn't just grow once, it keeps returning, often multiple times within a season. Instead of replanting, you're simply managing something that is already producing. Its growth habit is upright but compact, making it easy to harvest without disturbing surrounding plants. It fits into almost any space: garden beds, pathways, edges, and continues growing without needing perfect conditions. This flexibility allows it to exist alongside other crops without competing aggressively for space. The leaves and young shoots are edible and commonly used in various cuisines, especially in Asian cooking. This gives it immediate practical use, rather than being just another plant you have to figure out how to consume. It already fits into established food traditions. Another key advantage is how little effort it requires. Shepherd's purse does not need rich soil, consistent watering, or protection from weather. It grows independently, turning neglected areas into productive ones. This makes it ideal for low-maintenance gardening systems where the goal is to reduce effort while maintaining output. Compared to cultivated herbs, shepherd's purse offers speed and independence. It grows without being planted, spreads without assistance, and produces without intervention. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just a plant you grow. It's a plant that shows up, grows on its own, and turns overlooked space into a consistent, low-effort source of food. If you look at these plants differently, you start to realize something most gardeners miss. The easiest fruit to grow isn't the one you carefully plant, it's the one that grows without asking for permission. These forgotten vegetables don't need perfect soil, constant watering, or endless effort. They spread, they survive, and they keep coming back on their own. That's not just convenience, that's efficiency. Instead of fighting nature, you're working with it. Drop a comment below and tell me which one surprised you the most. And if you want more ideas on how to grow smarter with less effort, make sure you subscribe, because this is just the beginning.